The flashing lights of cameras, the excited murmurs of fans, and the grand spectacle of Hollywood's biggest night, the red carpet was alive with energy. The world's most elite celebrities arrived in their designer gowns and tailored suits, showcasing the latest from the most exclusive fashion houses. It was an event where style was everything, and reputation mattered more than gold. Among the A-list names expected to attend was Keanu Reeves, a star admired not just for his acting, but for his humility and simplicity. Unlike many of his peers, Keanu wasn't known for chasing the latest fashion trends or draping himself in luxury. He carried himself with quiet confidence, wearing what felt right, not what was expected. As the night approached, Keanu's assistant had arranged for a fitting with one of the most sought-after designers in the fashion world, a high-profile, arrogant designer whose brand dominated the red carpets year after year. This designer, known for his exclusivity, had dressed some of the biggest names in Hollywood. But Keanu was not his usual client. When Keanu walked into the private showroom, the atmosphere shifted. The designer, dressed in an all-black ensemble with a scarf dramatically draped over his shoulders, barely looked up from his sketches. His assistant scurried around, tending to models draped in luxurious fabrics. A quick glance at Keanu, then a smirk. "Ah. Mr. Reeves. I must say, I wasn't expecting you." Keanu nodded politely. "Thanks for seeing me." The designer gestured lazily to his racks of suits. "Well, let's see what we have for you. Though, I must admit, I usually work with a different type of client." Keanu remained unfazed, his expression unreadable. The designer snapped his fingers, and an assistant hurriedly brought forward a sleek black tuxedo. The fabric shimmered under the showroom lights, an undeniable masterpiece of tailoring. "This," the designer said dramatically, "is what a real star wears." Keanu reached out, his fingers brushing against the fabric. "It's nice." The designer scoffed. "Nice? No, no. This suit has been worn by royalty, by icons. The kind of men who make history." Keanu simply smiled. "I see." The designer crossed his arms, eyeing Keanu up and down. "But, if I'm being honest, Mr. Reeves, I don't think my brand fits your aesthetic." Keanu lifted an eyebrow. "Oh?" The designer smirked. How do I put this? You have that everyman appeal. People love you because you're relatable. But high fashion isn't about being relatable, it's about being untouchable. When someone wears my designs, they exude power, status, exclusivity." A silence fell over the room. The assistants and models paused, sensing the shift in atmosphere. The arrogance in the designer's tone was impossible to ignore. Keanu's voice was steady. "So, you're saying I don't belong in your suit?" The designer let out a small laugh. "I'm saying that my suits belong to men who command a room the second they step inside. Who make headlines with what they wear. No offense, but you're different." Keanu studied him for a moment, then simply nodded. "All right." With that, he turned and walked toward the door. The designer's assistant hesitated. "Mr. Reeves, we can still." Keanu raised a hand in a polite but final gesture. "No worries." And just like that, he was gone. The designer smirked, shaking his head. Well, that was expected. But what happened next would leave him absolutely speechless. The night of the event had arrived. The red carpet was ablaze with flashing lights, celebrities posing in extravagant outfits, and interviewers scrambling to capture every second of Hollywood's most anticipated evening. Designers eagerly awaited to see their pieces admired by the press, knowing that one iconic moment on the red carpet could elevate their brand to untouchable status. The designer, who had dismissed Keanu Reeves, stood among the crowd, watching as his carefully curated gowns and tuxedos graced the carpet. His creations shimmered, draped over the most famous actors and actresses. His smile was smug, knowing that his work would be the talk of the night. And then, the murmurs began. A ripple of whispers moved through the crowd, heads turning, cameras pivoting, reporters rushing to reposition themselves. The atmosphere shifted as the realization hit. Keanu Reeves had arrived. But he wasn't wearing the designer's creation. Instead, he walked with his usual effortless grace, draped in a perfectly tailored, understated black suit. There was no flashy branding, no over-the-top embellishments, just simple, elegant craftsmanship that fit him as if it had been made by someone who truly understood him. The effect was instant. Keanu didn't just step onto the red carpet, he owned it. Photographers swarmed, flashes illuminating the air like 1,000 stars. Reporters who had been fixated on designer gowns and sparkling tuxedos suddenly turned their full attention to Keanu. The focus of the night had shifted. The designer's smirk faltered as he watched. An interviewer called out, "Keanu, who are you wearing tonight?" Keanu, ever composed, simply smiled. "A friend." The response was simple, yet it sent shockwaves through the fashion world. No label, no brand name dropped. Just respect for true craftsmanship. The designer's assistants fidgeted uncomfortably. One of them hesitated before whispering, "Sir, they're calling it the look of the year." The designer clenched his jaw. His expensive, exclusive suits, the very ones he had spent months perfecting for this night, were now overshadowed by a man he had dismissed just days ago. But the real blow came when the online reactions flooded in. Social media exploded. Fans and fashion critics alike praised Keanu's look, calling it effortlessly iconic. Hashtags like #KeanuSuit, #StyleWithoutEgo, and #Elegance Redefined began trending worldwide. Fashion bloggers dissected every detail of his look, praising its impeccable fit, its quiet confidence. The conversation shifted from extravagant, logo-plastered designs to the beauty of simplicity and authenticity. Then came the viral moment. A popular fashion commentator tweeted, "The best-dressed man of the night wasn't wrapped in designer labels. He wore something meaningful, something crafted with care." Keanu Reeves just redefined red carpet fashion. And beneath it? A side-by-side comparison. On the left, a well-known actor dripping in designer excess, covered in gold and unnecessary embellishments. On the right? Keanu, standing tall in his effortlessly tailored suit. The contrast was staggering. The public had made their decision, Keanu had won the night. Meanwhile, back at the event, the designer couldn't hide his frustration. A fellow industry insider leaned over and smirked, "You had a chance to dress him, didn't you?" The designer exhaled sharply, forcing a laugh. I didn't think he was a fit for my brand." The insider chuckled. "Looks like he didn't need your brand after all." Keanu, oblivious to the chaos he had caused in the fashion world, continued down the carpet, greeting fans, signing autographs, and taking photos with fellow actors. While others were parading in clothes meant to make a statement, Keanu became the statement. He didn't have to wear status. He didn't have to be wrapped in ego. And that's what made him untouchable. As the night carried on and the red carpet slowly emptied, the designer remained in the shadows, watching. He had spent years believing that power and prestige were what made a person worthy of his designs. But tonight, he had learned a different lesson. Because Keanu hadn't just attended the red carpet. He had owned it.